Hello Internet, I'm Dan.
And I'm Chaz. This is Wine is Serious Business, episode 172. Why don't you start this one out? Did you pick these all up recently on a trip?
Yep, went out wine tasting in Yakima, Washington recently. Kind of, pretty central to the state. They've been growing grapes there for a long time, but you don't hear it talked about as one of the big tourism areas. So it's taken me a while to get around to tasting out there, but had a good chance to do it over President's Day weekend. So went out, brought back a few bottles I wanted to put on the show. Covered a lot of ground. There are a lot of wineries out there, so if you're ever curious about it, or especially if you live in the area, definitely go check them out.
Yeah, I think the last person I know that didn't DVP post a big tasting thing from Yakima Valley. He went there long time ago.
Could be. Yeah, I don't.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry,
but it's all right. The first one we've got the Treveri here. This is the Blanc de Blanc. This is a producer that only makes sparkling wines, and they made, I don't know, when I was there, I think we tasted like 6 different styles or something like that. They've got a tasting room south of Yakima. Great, like, deck and everything, overlooking the valley, views of the mountains and the horizon, like, beautiful facility. Definitely set up to entertain, like, they had the whole cheese plates and, like, sitting tables and stuff like that. They're definitely built to be more of a hangout place, but, like, I was surprised that their whole lineup was sparkling wines, and B, that it's all, the secondary fermentation is in the bottle. It's method champenois for all of it, which is,
nice.
Kind of an ambitious project. And the prices were all pretty reasonable too. I want to say that, like, they're all under 20 bucks, I think. And I want to say this one maybe even been under 15. Not 100%, but even if it's right around, like, really approachable for local sparkling wine. And like I said, you've got a few different grapes to choose from, which is cool too. But Blanc de Blanc, Chardonnay. It's kind of like some light apple flavors in the nose. A little bit of honeysuckle.
Lemon squeeze too, like kind of squeezed up fresh lemon.
Nice.
Oh, it smells good.
Definitely apple flavors coming in on the palate. Some good acidity, but definitely just some like juicy, like touch of sweet red apples.
It's almost like fresh squeezed Granny Smith apple juice. Sort of with the amount of acidity and the amount of apple flavors. Also a bit of like citric bite on the finish, which is really kind of nice, like fresh squeeze of lime or something. It's good.
I think it's good because the apple, like, there is a little bit of sweetness in there, and the apples, I get that from like some Washington white wines in general. There's like some apple flavors that can be like pretty ripe, and I think the acidity works to balance that pretty well.
Absolutely. One thing I like too, there's none of sometimes I do like a bit of minerality or like a little bit of the asparine note, but it's got to be balanced with like maybe some brioche or something. Sometimes that can seem weird when it's just fruit combined with that flavor to me. And this, I like it because it's just fruit and none of that mineral or asparine characteristic. It's just nice fruit, really strong acid, and I like it for that.
Yeah.
It's good.
So pretty straight and to the point, right?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of complexity or things really jumping out at you, but like I said, like sub $20 price points, that's kind of what I asked for. Enjoyable flavors. So I'm going to go 87 points, but a thorough recommendation on it. Like I'd say, if that's the price point you're looking at, or if you're looking for like a nice welcome wine, you got people over to kind of start the evening out and socialize, this would be great for that.
Absolutely. Anytime you would want like an acidic white wine to go with a food dish, this would be great. The bubbles have a really nice texture to them. They're not overwhelming or overtake the flavors in the palate at all. 86 plus, or 86 for me.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's simple, but very good. So
I think totally achieving what they set out to do. And I want to remark on that too, that while I was out
price
there,
point killer. Yeah.
Something that struck me, like we were just talking about it being clean, is that all of their stuff, like depending on the grape, maybe you like the flavors a little more, a little less, but for pretty affordable sparkling wine, like for all of them to be just like clean and enjoyable flavors, I was like, well done, right? Like that's good stuff. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, cool producer. I'm glad to discover them. So
I've seen it on shelves recently and kind of wondered about it. So awesome. Thanks for showing it to me.
This is Gilbert Cellars, another recommendation from Doug from C&G. He's the guy that turned us on to the Analemma Rosé that we enjoyed so much. So he's kind of been on a roll lately. They got a tasting room right downtown Yakima. I got there kind of at the end of the day, So I was a little nervous when I was opening this up, because obviously my palate was a little more conditioned, I guess, at that point. By the time we got into it, and they had some bigger reds. Again, kind of like these guys, like I pretty much liked their entire lineup, which is kind of impressive. Like some good quality stuff. For the show tonight, I decided to bring out this the Allobroges, I think is how you pronounce that. It's a Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre. It's what, 14% Counoise as well in there, so Rhone style blend. You know, big purple wine. But
big purple. Not too dark though.
Not too dark.
I mean, you can still see through it, which means we're grade 6 purple drink, not grade 8 or 9.
I'm getting some earthy notes on the nose, as well as like some just the really dark, like plums and dark cherries. That kind of seem typical to Syrah for me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
It's like so for me, it's you got sort of ripe and slightly underripe blackberries, maybe a little bit of like cranberry, and then black top. Like like freshly paved black.
That's more accurate than dirt, even, I think.
Which is nice, and maybe even a little bit of like ash in there too. It smells wonderful. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, good complexity on the nose. And it's got a lighter contact, which I kind of like. The acidity kicks in right away. A little bit even like raspberry fruit before the darker flavors show up. Which is kind of nice, right? Not something you expect. That's something with a lot of Grenache and Syrah in it, or that they take for granted anyway. So I appreciate them having a little bit of that acidity, a little bit of that brighter character to lead into things. Dark flavors come later.
And there's the dark fruit I talked about earlier or the blackberries I talked about on the nose are evident on the palate to me. Big whack of like tart red fruit that I'm not placing to anything right now, but it's there, and it's really juicy on the mid palate. Ends with some really nice tannins. Lots of acidity, but
yeah, like the tannins are there. They've kind of got a firm touch, but they don't really get out of control.
Yeah, they don't overwhelm the flavor at all.
And I'm getting some really like kind of like thick dark fruit on the end, kind of like just plum skins or something like that. Not even so much the juicy fruit as it kind of dries out in the back.
Wow, 14.7 alcohol. I had no idea.
You can feel it a bit, but I wouldn't have guessed that much.
Wow. No, I wouldn't have. I was thinking high 13s, maybe 14 flat. That's well put together to able to restrain that alcohol compared to some other wines. But yeah, really nice.
Kind of a note on this too. Definitely something you want to give a chance to breathe. I like it a lot more than we did when we checked it to make sure it wasn't corked. It's definitely opened up a bit. And I think over the next even hour or so, it's going to even out a little more.
Totally. But I like this quite a bit. I like the pairing of dark flavors, the tartness, and then the amount of weight that it carries on the palate is rather light. It's really nice. 89 points for me.
Nice.
I like it quite a bit.
88 for me, and I think what really gets me is like I like the fruit flavors. I like where the structure's at. I think I'm going to like it a little bit more after it mellows out a bit, either with age or I think really even being open for a little while will help integrate the structure a little more. But but it's clean, it's bright, it's got a little bit of complexity. Solid wine.
I'm surprised how well it restrains the alcohol. It's doing, at least for me, my palate doesn't detect as much of it as maybe yours does.
I tend to be a little more sensitive too, and I'm not, like it feels a little like you can kind of tell it's in that direction. I would never have guessed 14.7. I never would.
Oh, well done. Good wine. What's the price point on it?
Sorry, we'll be back. Great, we're back. We found it for $22 on the internet, so right around that neighborhood. That's another thing that struck me about Yakima as a whole. Like, if you get out towards Red Mountain, you're kind of getting into the wall-to-wall range where like there's some really good stuff, but you're paying for it. A lot of stuff in Yakima. While we tasted some stuff that wasn't all that good, you can find some really solid wines for between $20 to $30, which was nice finds. Like, it's nice to see that, and especially to see that kind of complexity at something around $20.
I totally agree.
That's not something I'll take for granted, right? It's nice to find it. So cool stuff.
Yeah, great. All right, what's the story with this thing?
So this is Bonair Vineyards. I was out touring with Carlos. I don't know if you even watched the show ever, but but thanks for suggesting this place. This is one of the places he definitely wanted to hit because he had a good time there last time. And he said their Riesling was really good. So, right, it's got my attention. I wanted to go check it out. Tasted through the lineup, and the Riesling was one of my favorite things. Again, this isn't one that's, you know, changing the game for Washington, but it's like a lot of the wines I had there. The price is very reasonable, and it just delivers a really solid and well put together wine experience. Or at least that was my impression at the time. We'll get into more description of wine, but that's what inspired me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pick up a bottle of this, bring it on the show. I'm kind of interested in your honest opinion on it, just because. Right, this is just like another Washington Riesling that I think is, you know, worth giving some thought to. So.
No, absolutely. Oh, this smells good.
Plenty of aromatics, and it's definitely got a lot of apple character that I associate with Washington. I mean, Oregon's got some of that too, but I think Washington's even more distinct, where it's like ripe and red apples. There's a little bit of like something tart on there too, like maybe Granny Smith or like a gooseberry, something like that on the nose.
There is something else going on too. It reminds me of when you gut a cantaloupe. Like all
sure.
the seeds,
yeah.
The seeds from the cantaloupe, not so much the cantaloupe smell itself, like you're cutting it up, but there's like, just that weird kind of, it's like a funky melon smell or something. I don't even know how to, other than this, the inside of a cantaloupe, along with apple flavors. It smells good. When we initially opened this, though, it smelled a little weird. It's gotten another one that maybe has blown off something in the time that we did the initial taste to see if it was corked or not. The nose has come around a little bit, so.
And there's definitely some RS here, right? Like this wine is on the sweeter side. I mean, if you don't like sweet wines,
don't buy
this is not going to make you happy at all. A little bit of candy, but it's really expansive on the palate. And I really like that. It's got like this full sensation as you know, as it goes across the palate.
The flavor and the sugar are really well integrated, and they literally blanket the tongue. It's heavy, but not in like an alcoholic sense, more of like in a sugary sense, but without the cloyingness. And what is surprising for me at that is that the acidity level, at least for me, is low.
I'm with you on that.
It's super low, and I like it. Like it's juicy. It's easy to drink.
It's super easy to drink.
Right. This is something that you could almost serve. This is a Riesling you could serve anyone, and I think they would enjoy it because this is going to come off more like a juice than anything.
Unless they hate sweet wine. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yep.
If they don't, you know, a person that's not a wine lover.
Yeah.
I can see. If you pour this for somebody and tell them it's not even wine, they'd probably be like, "Oh, okay, it's juice."
Right.
Yeah.
Enjoyable.
What's the alcohol level on it?
Again, I don't know.
10.5. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I want to say that this is
juice that gets you drunk.
I want to say that this is in the lower teens as well. Price point, so like like pretty approachable, good flavors, just a little bit of acidity, and I like where it sits. There's like this lime acidity right in the front of the palate that gives it just a little bit of character, gives you just a little bit to think about. Without it, this would be way too simple and sweet, and I never would have even been interested in it. But
I dig it.
Yeah, there's that little bit of tartness that gives it just a little bit of complexity, balances out some of the sweetness, and the fruit flavors are just good. Like it's just nice. Tasty fruit.
To me, it reminds me sort of like approachable, just red apple and peach.
Yep, yeah, definitely peach flavor. Yeah, he kills with that.
And just juicy. Like you're drinking. I mean, I don't even detect alcohol in it almost.
I totally don't either. Yeah. I mean, coming from a big red,
but yes, it's. And this is something also. If you're going to end the night on something, super easy to understand even after drinking the drink. So.
And actually, man, I would say this would be a really good kind of like entry point price-wise for kind of fancier dessert-style Rieslings too. Like if you know down the road, if you're interested in Ausschleiches or stuff like that, like something like this with a little apple tart or something like that for dessert, or even kind of by itself, right? Just a little, you know, ounce or two of that in a glass to kind of wrap the night up with. I think it would work really well.
I agree.
So cool stuff. I also like this Rattlesnake Hills area because there were also the wineries there were like really friendly tasting rooms, and it seemed like a lot of the people working there were part of the winemaking team or part of the family. Like they were big enough to have a tasting room, but not so big that it was this really like ominous presence. It was really welcoming and clearly like just part of the community. And you know, Rattlesnake Hills was a cool place to visit.
I love it when it's like that.
Yeah.
Parts of Oregon are like that. And
just super approachable. So.
Yeah. So score wise for me, I can't knock it too high because it's not a complex wine.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing some of the structural elements that really sort of add to the complexity. But I can't score it low because it really is just delicious, right? And in the style that it's shooting for, it's really well done. 87 points for me. I think it's right in the middle of very good to excellent. So
yeah,
it's good.
And that's pretty much where I'm at too.
Yeah.
87 points, like nothing to crazy about, but it really delivers at the price point.
Totally.
And it's just a complete package. It's just more well done wine, which is kind of the theme of the trip. Like I really discovered that a lot. Like there was a lot of stuff that just really fairly priced, really well made wines with enjoyable flavors.
How don't people like sweet wine? How is that possible? Huh?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I think you just kind of go down that path, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of get into
Sweet wine was the first thing I drank because it was easy.
right.
I was like,
Right.
oh,
Especially
yeah.
kids, right?
Sugary, yum, you know. And, yeah. Anyway,
But,
sorry.
I'm sure you got some like healthy eating friends that just hate sugar in any form, right? They're just like
Good point.
I don't drink it, I don't eat it, it's gross to me. So
Understood.
yeah, or some people that just want Campari and Fernet Branca, right? For all the drinks, super bitter cocktails. Yeah,
This guy's place.
just different tastes. So question of the day.
Man, I had one when we were watching the. Oh yeah, so for the previous show we did some really disgusting wines, and what's the weirdest wine cocktail or wine thing you've tasted? Like, I think I don't know that I've ever had like something that was blended with wine before. Or have you ever had a cocktail out at a bar that was like a wine cocktail? Was it good or was it bad?
I definitely have, but that winery I think was also like the weirdest thing I've ever had done.
Oh, it was easily the most disgusting thing I've tasted as far as a wine cocktail goes.
So, tell us your story. We're looking forward to it. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.